Variables b and t are related by the equation b is equals to p plus q e to the power 2t, where p and q are constants. It is given that t is 0 when b is 500. Okay, so if t is 0, b is 500 is equals to p plus q e to the power 2 into 0. That's right. So e to the power 0 is 1. 500 is p plus q. ऐसा ही है? Okay, then the question told us that t is 1 when b is 600. I am constantly telling you people how to use exact answers. So seek lo, if you are unable to understand this, do ask right away. So b is 600 when p plus q e की power 2 and t is 2. Sorry, 1. Thank you. 2 तो उसने पूछा है. 600 is p plus q e to the power 2. This is the question. ऐसा ही है? So what is the value of p? The value of p is 500 minus q. If I plug it in this one, 600 is equals to 500 minus q plus q e square. 500 यहाँ है, 100 is equals to q e square minus q. 100 is equals to q common e square minus 1. So q is 100 upon, I'm letting it be as it is. And p is 500 minus 100 upon e square minus 1. Is this clear? सही है? This is p and this is q. So I need to find the value of b when t is 2. So p की जगह I will write 500 minus 100 upon e square minus 1 plus q की जगह I will write 100 upon e square minus 1 and e to the power 2 and t की value is also 2. So b is 500 minus 100 over e squared minus 1 plus 100 e4 over e squared minus 1. Is that right? Now, how to use your calculator smartly to get this answer? एक दफा लिख लो इसको, बार बार लिखने से बच जाओगे. E square. Why waste your time when you have the calculator? Be smart about it. E square minus 1 एक दफा value ले ली मैंने. Now I'll be using it as an answer. 500 minus 100 upon answer plus 100 e to the power 4 upon answer. So the answer is 1338.9, or I can write it as 1339. Simple. सही है. Now moving on to part B of the same question. देख लो, not needed, कोई बात नहीं. Find the smallest value of t. देख लो, find the smallest value of t that gives a value of b greater than 2 million. What am I doing? और से देख लो, t की value मुझे निकालनी है. When t is increasing, the question does not say that t has to be a constant, t has to be an integer or anything like that. We do not know that. So the smallest value of t such that b is greater than 2000. So the question told us 2 million, sorry. B has to be greater than. So what is B? B was, this is B, 500 minus 100 over e squared minus 1 plus 100 over e square minus 1 into e to the power 2. Is that right? And this has to be greater than E456. Is that right? ये पूरी वैल्यू यहां पर है, 500 वहां जाएगा तो बताओ, 500 अगर वहां जाएगा तो ओके, ये माइनस हो जाएगा, 500 माइनस हो जाएगा एंड प्लस 100 अपॉन e squared minus. Is that right? This entire value is multiplying over there. It will go on that side and it will divide. So e to the power 2t will be greater than, if I want to keep this as it is, then I'm telling you, putting it in the calculator will be a piece of cake. So do not worry about that. Divided by 100 upon e squared minus 1. Is that right? Yahan tak clear hai? Then what will we be doing? Both sides we will apply ln. Now, if you're confusing and if you don't want to write this entire thing again and again, now you can put it in your calculator smartly again. What will you do? E squared minus 1. Now, wherever you see this, या एक और काम हम कर सकते हैं. Let's do this. 100 upon e squared minus 1. Now I'll be using this exact ये पूरी वैल्यू मैं यूज कर रहा हूं. और से देखना 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 minus 500 पूरा ब्रैकेट में रखते हैं so that we are 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 minus 500 plus answer and then divided by answer. This is the value of 127750. If you don't want to write the entire thing again and again, 127750. E to the power 2t is 127750. Applying ln on both sides, so 2t is greater than ln of 127750. So t is greater than ln of 127750 divided by 2. Now you'll be using your calculator to get your answer. You see ln answer divided by 2, 5.88. So t has to be greater than 5.8. इससे ज़्यादा होना चाहिए 5.8789. 5.8789. So I can write t has to be, so the smallest value of t, y6. Why does the question say that t has to be an integer? Does it specify anything like that? It is an integer, something like that? No. कहाँ लिखा हुआ है? So I can just write 5.88. That is perfectly fine. The coefficient of x square in the expansion of this. If I wanted to expand it, I'll have to expand for the power of 5. The first term will be x to the power 5 plus 5c1, which is 5, but just letting you know how do you do it in a calculator. 5c1 is 5. X reduces power to 4 and 2 over x gets the power 1. Then the next term is 5c2. So 5c2, which is 10. X reduces to power 3 and 2 over x reduces to or increases to square. So let's see if I need the further terms or not, or are these three good enough? Now let's simplify x minus 3 upon x. X to the power 5 plus 10x cube plus 2 squared is 4. Do not forget to square this 2. 4 into 10 is 40x. So I'm searching for x square. Now how do I multiply x? We'll multiply with all the 6 terms of this expansion. Let's see, do I ever get an x square over here? If I multiply x by x to the power 5, I do not get x square. If I multiply it by this, I do not get an x square. If I multiply by 40, yes, I do get an x square. I'll only be writing that term 40x squared. Similarly, minus 3 upon x, if I multiply it with x to the power 5, I do not get x square, I get x to the power 4. If I multiply it by x cube, I do get x square, which is minus 30x squared. There are no other terms that have an x square, which is, this simplifies to 10x squared. So the coefficient of x squared is basically 10. This was question number 2. Moving on to question number 3. We have a curve which is y is equals to 6 square x upon 2 plus e to the power x. And we need to find the area of this shaded region. So it's a very easy approach. Area is found by integrating the equation of the curve and applying the limits, the upper limit and the lower limit. Everything is provided. So all I need to do is write the definite integral. My upper limit is pi by 2. My lower limit is pi by 4. And I need to integrate 6 square x by 2 is the angle plus e to the power x dx. So, what is the integral of 6 square? 6 square is the derivative of tan. So, the integral of 6 square will again be tan x upon 2. And then I will divide by the derivative of the angle. The derivative of x upon 2 is half. So, I'll divide the entire thing by half plus e to the power x will remain as it is. The upper limit is pi by 2 and the lower limit is pi by 4. Make sure your calculator is in radians for these steps. And once you have this, just simplify a bit. Divide by 2. So 2 tan of x upon 2 plus e to the power x. So first, let's plug in the upper limit, which is pi by 2. And the lower limit is pi by 4. So 2 tan. So in place of x, I'll write pi by 2. And when that divides by 2, it is pi by 4 plus e to the power pi by 2. Minus 2 tan of pi by 8. This becomes plus e to the power pi by 4. So tan of pi by 4 is 1. You can find that even through your calculator. Tan of pi by 4. Make sure your calculator is in radian. Mine is already is. It is 1, which is 2. So this is 2 plus e to the power pi by 2. And try to keep it exact for as long as I can. Minus 2 tan of pi by 8 minus e to the power pi by 4. Now I will put the entire thing in the calculator, and the calculator can easily provide me with the answer. So I'll be putting 2 plus e to the power pi upon 2 minus 2 tan of pi upon 8 minus e to the power pi upon 4. So the answer is 3.789. 3.789. And the question says give it to 2 decimal place. So this will be 3.79 unit square. That is question number 3. Moving on to question number 4. In an AP, the first term is 176. That means A is 176. And the 10th term of an AP is A plus 9D, that is 149. And I need to find the common difference. So 176 plus 9D is 149. 9D is 149 minus 176. So D will be equal to 149 minus 176 divided by 9. So D is -3. Moving on to the second part. The question is asking Find the least number of terms for their sum to be negative. Now, in order for the sum to be negative, I need the sum of n terms to be less than 0. Sum of n terms is n upon 2, 2a plus n minus 1d. And I want this entire thing to be less than 0, which is negative. I do not know n. A is 176 plus n minus 1, d is negative 3. And I want the entire thing to be less than 0. This 2 is dividing. I take it on the other side. I get rid of this denominator. 2 into 176. 2 into 176 is 352 minus 3n plus 3 is less than 0. So n and 355 minus 3n is less than 0. This is a quadratic inequality. This will have sad face because the coefficient of square is negative, and if I find the critical value, one value is 0 and the other critical value is 355. Minus 3n is 0. So the value of n is 355 divided by 3, which is 118 and 1 over 3, or 118.3 recurring. So n has to be less than 0, which it can't be, or n has to be greater than 1181 upon 3. So the smallest value of n is 119. This is 118.3. So n is negative. The entire thing is negative over here. The value of n is greater than 1181 upon 3. And the smallest value of n, which has to be a positive integer because it is the number of terms. So it will be 119. Moving on to part B1. Okay, now in a GP, the first term is A is 3 and the second term AR is 2.4. So the value of R is 2.4 divided by 3, which is 0.8. And the question is asking the sum of the first 8 terms. S8 is A bracket 1 minus R to the power 8 upon 1 minus R. So S8, value of A is 3 bracket 1 minus 0.8 to the power 8 upon 1 minus 0.8. So S8 is basically 3 into 1 minus 0.8 to the power 8 divided by 1 minus 0.8. So 12.48. That is the sum of the first 8 terms of the GP. Now, in the next part, the question is asking sum to infinity. Do not worry about all these formulae. The formulae will be provided. S infinity is A upon 1 minus R. So S infinity is A is 3, 1 minus 0.8. So S infinity is 3 upon 1 minus 0.8, which is 15. That is the sum to infinity. Moving on to part 3. Starting with the 10th term, find the sum of 50 terms of the progressions. That means find the sum of the 50 terms. That means 10th term will be the first term, and after the 10th term, I need to find the sum of the 50 terms. So R will remain same, but 10th term means AR to the power 9, which is 3 into 0.8 to the power. This will become my first term, and I need to find S50 in place of A, which is my first term of the progression. In place of my first term, I will write this value. 1 minus R will remain as it is to the power 50 upon 1 minus 0.8. So S50, what have I done? I've taken the 10th term as the first term, and it will make things easy for me. 3 into 0.8 to the power 9 and 1 minus 0.8 to the power 50 and divided by 1 minus 0.8 to 0.01 is the sum of the 50 terms starting from the first term. So try to understand what did I do for the previous sequence. The 10th term of the sequence I have taken, that is the first term, and R will remain as it is, the common ratio, and I figured out the sum of the next 50 terms. 4-digit numbers are to be formed using 4 of the digits 2, 3, 7, 8 and 9. Each digit may be used once only in any 4-digit number. कोई number repeat नहीं हो सकता. Find how many 4-digit numbers can be formed when there are no restrictions. Very good. 5, 3, 4. Easy as that. Use your calculator. Tell me what do you get. So there are total 124 digit numbers that can be formed. So moving on to part 2. Find how many 4-digit numbers can be formed when the number is even. Now, in order for the number to be even, very good. 1, 2, 3. The first 3 digits can be anything. The last number has to be 2 or 1, 2, 3 and 8. Is that right? ऐसा ही है, 3 numbers and the last digit has to be. So now if I am selecting and arranging any 3 numbers from the remaining 4, I will have to go for 4p3, and that will be twice. I'll have to twice the entire thing क्योंकि 2 के साथ भी 4p3 होगा, and when 8 is the last digit, I'll again get 4p3. Is this clear or not? सही है? So this is your answer. Part 3. Find how many 4-digit numbers can be formed when the number is greater than 7,000 and odd. Now they have put us with 2 conditions. The number has to be greater than 7,000 and it has to be odd and it has to be a 4-digit number. So if the number has to be odd, that means the first digit has to be 7. If the first digit is 7, the last, and then for the number to be odd, the last digit can only be 3 or when 7 is the first digit, 3 and 9. Then what else? If I put 8 as the first digit, then 3, 7 and 9. Very good. Understand this counting. With 8 being the first digit, I can get 3 as the last digit, 7 as the last digit, or 9 as the last digit. Then what? Any other number? 9. If 9 is the first digit and for the number to be odd, 9 and 7. So for every of each of these numbers, I will have to go for 3p2. And how many times will I have to go for 3p2? 7. Is this clear? यही तो है, figuring out what to do for it. You write this method alongside to get your method mark. So 3p2 into 7 is 42. Moving on to part B. ये तो सबसे आसान part है. Find the number of ways the 12 people can be divided in a group of. So 12 में से if I am making a group of, पहले तो C होगा. If I am making a group of 3 first, 12C3 into 9C4. The other day I told you it does not matter even if you change the sequence into 5C5. No matter in what sequence you do this, you'll always get the same answer. So what is the final answer? A curve has the equation this, and the question is told that the value of 3x square is greater than 5. Why are they saying so? Because for the function to be valid or the curve to be valid, the input of log has to be positive. The input of log has to be greater than 0 or positive. Find the equation of the normal to the curve at the point where x is equals to root of 2. Normal is a straight line. In order to make the equation of straight line, what two things do we need? Gradient and 1 point, right? Do we have the point completely? We only have the x coordinate. So we'll also be needing the y coordinate. How do we find the y coordinate? करो. Y ln 3x square की जगह square root 2. Figure it out on your own. Confirm it with the calculator when the calculators are allowed. The value of y is 0. So the coordinate that I have is the square root of 2 comma 0. Is that right? Now for the gradient, how do I find the gradient of the normal? First I will differentiate. U is ln of 3x squared minus 5. V is 2x. U dash is the derivative of ln. Denominator mein you get the function. Numerator mein you write its derivative, 6x. And V dash is 2. Now dy by dx is V into derivative of U. V had 2x plus 1 into derivative of U 3x squared minus 5 minus U into derivative of V2 ln of 3x squared minus 5 divided by V square. I'll just be writing it 1 upon 2x plus 1 ka whole. So instead of writing a dividing by V square, I have written it into 1 upon V square. Is this clear? Yes, अब हम values डालेंगे. That is what we'll be doing. The value of x. So I'll say that gradient of tangent या gradient of curve आ जाएगा. What do I need to do? I'll show you. Square root of 2 लिख लो पहले and put it equals to, this is your answer. Now you'll do 2 times answer plus 1. I hope the calculator has enough space to do this. 6 answer upon 3 answer squared minus 5. Yes, you are right. हमें पता है ln 0 हो जाता है तो ये automatically 0 हो गया हमारे पास. Into 1 upon 2 times answer plus 1 whole square. So what have I done? 2 into answer plus 1 into this entire thing. This will become 0. So I have not written this entire thing. So this bracket into 1 upon this. So the gradient is this. अगर मैं decimal में लिखूं 2.2164. 2.2164. No, this is not the final answer. Or if I want to write it in surds, because my calculator is giving me the answer in surds, 24 minus 6 root 2 upon 7. 24 minus 6 root 2 upon 7. You can write it in decimals as well. So gradient of normal is the negative reciprocal. So minus 1 divided by answer, which is this. Decimal में लिखूंगा -0.4512. If I write it inserts this -4 plus √2/12 or -0.4512 -0.4512. So now y minus y1 is equals to m minus 0.4512 into x minus x2. x1, sorry. Y is equals to, if I multiply this answer by root of 2, so it will give me this value of minus 0.6381. So minus 0.4512x minus 0.6381 प्लस हो जाएगा 6318. So this is the equation of the normal to the curve at the point where x is root of 2. Now in part B, the question is asking, find the approximate change in y as x increases from, so I can say that delta y upon delta x is approximately equals to dy by dx. So I need to find the change in y. Change in x is h. And what is the value of dy by dx? It was this, right? इस पूरे को h के साथ में लिख लूं. 2.2. So delta y is, what was this value? अगर decimal में थी तो 2.2164. 2.2164h. Clear है? Question. Once and for all, try to understand how do you solve trigonometric equations and the mistakes that you have been making in paper 1 as well. सबसे पहले क्या करेंगे इसको? What do you want to do with this? चलो, everything in sin and cos 5 sin x upon -3 cos x upon is equals to 2. Then 5 sin squared x minus 3 cos squared x upon cos x. 5 sin squared x minus 3 cos squared x. वो भी कर लो, चलो. फिर भी डिनोमिनेटर में एलसीएम में साइन तो रहेगा ना, तब क्या करोगे? करना भी साइन भी है. 5 sin squared x minus 3 cos squared x is equals to 2 cos x sin x upon cos x. 5 sin squared x minus 3 cos squared x is equals to 2 sin x हो गया. Now what can I do in place of cos square x? I can write sin square x minus 3 1 minus sin squared x 2 sin x. 5 sin squared x minus 3 plus 3 sin square x minus 2 sin x is 0. This is quadratics in disguise. 8 sin squared x minus 2 sin x minus 3 is 0. Is that right? S ले लो sin x, so that is the best thing. 8s square minus 2s minus 3 is 0. You can either use quadratic formula or middle term breaking to get to your answers. What values are you getting for sin x? Sin x is 3 upon 4 or sin x is, you'll have to show the method. Even if you are using the quadratic formula, you'll have to show your values. You will say I got my values of sin x as minus b minus 2 plus minus under root of minus 2 squared minus 4 8 into -3 upon 2a. But see, it's your choice, not to worry. It's paper 2. You have the calculators with you, तो कोई मसले की बात नहीं. Either ways, you come to these two values. Now comes the main part. The moment you start doing sine inverse, that means you haven't understood trigonometry in advance. सही है, आपने अगर इसके बाद साइन इनवर्स कर दिया आगे, knowing that you had to go a long way, लेकिन आपने फिर उसको समझा ही नहीं, इसका मतलब है. So now I'm solving these two equations. Sin x is 3 over 4. The first thing I'll do is I'll find sin alpha 3 over 4. What is my value of alpha? Sin inverse of 3 over 4. Where will my alpha exist? Because sine is positive, so alpha will exist in the first and second quadrant. So x will be either alpha or 180 minus alpha. Tell me the two values of x that you are getting from this one. I'm waiting for your answers. Rounding off की गड़बड़ नहीं करना. I'm trusting you with the value. डिग्री में ही होना चाहिए बिल्कुल. Make sure your calculator is in degrees for this one, because the calculator provided you with the domain in degrees. Sine inverse of 0.75, 48.6, and the other one is 130. These are the two values of x. Now for this one, this is the tricky part. What do we do in these kinds of situations? Sine alpha is half. Negative sign only tells us the quadrants where will the alpha exist. So the value of alpha is 30 sine hai na. Where will this alpha exist? Because sine is negative, third and fourth. So my values of x will be 180 plus alpha and 360 minus alpha. So what values of x? 210 and 330. So these are the four values of x that you will end up with. The curve has equation y is equals to 2x minus 1, 4x plus 3 in the root. So in order to find the derivative, we'll have to differentiate and simplify. U is 2x minus 1, and my v is I'll be applying the product rule, 4x plus 3 to the power half. The derivative of u is 2 and the derivative of v is half into 4x plus 3 power negative half, power subtracted 1 from the power, and the derivative of the bracket, which is 4. So if I simplify v dash, my v dash is 2 upon square root of 4x plus 3. So now in order to find dy by dx, I'll be applying the product rule. U will multiply by the derivative of v2 upon square root of 4x plus 3 plus v will multiply square root of 4x plus 3 with the derivative of u. So now I'll be simplifying it. Square root of 4x plus 3, and the numerator is 2x minus 1. That multiplied by 2, that will make it 4x minus 2 and plus 2 square root of 4x plus 3. So now I'll be taking the LCM 4x plus 3 of both the fractions. The first fraction will remain as it is, 2. Now when this multiplies by the root of 4x plus 3, 4x plus 3 takes the power 1, because power half and power half added to 1 or square root cancelled out. Whichever way you want to understand it, both are the same. The denominator is square root of 4x plus 3 and the numerator is 4x minus 2 plus 8x and plus 6. So the derivative when simplified becomes 12x plus 4 square root of 4x plus 3. Furthermore, the question wants us to take 4 common, so 3x plus 1 upon square root of 4x plus 3, and that is how the derivative is we need to figure out the derivative in this form. Moving on to part B, the question wants us to write the x coordinate of the stationary point of the curve. Now, the stationary point is where the derivative is equal to 0. Now, when I put the entire derivative equal to 0, the denominator also becomes 0 and 4 divides also, and I am left with, and the value of x is negative 1 upon 3. That is the value that the question is asking me. Now, the question is asking the nature of the stationary point. Now, in order to, rather than differentiating it again, we can use the first derivative to find the nature. The stationary point is when the value of x is 0 minus 0.3333. We can figure out the derivative before this one. This is my derivative. I'll use a value of x before this minus 1 upon 3, which is minus 0.33. I'll be using x as minus 0.4. Because differentiating it again is a real hassle. So my derivative before the turning point on the left of the turning point is 4 into 3. Okay, what can I do? I can write minus 0.4 as an answer. And I'll be using this 4 into 3 times answer plus 1. Now, wherever I have my x, I am putting it an answer over here. 4 times answer plus 3. So my derivative is negative 0.676. Negative 0.676. It was negative before the turning point. And if I want to find after the turning point, I'll be just taking it as 0.2. Try to understand. So derivative after the turning point, what will I do? I'll just write minus 0.2. And the entire function again, I'll just be pressing an equal to. The derivative has become positive 1.08. So derivative was negative. The gradient was negative, then it became 0 at the turning point, and then it became positive. So what kind of turning point would I get? The gradient is negative, it became 0, and then it became positive. So the nature of the turning point is that the turning point was negative. So the derivative is negative on the left of the turning point, and the derivative is positive on the left of the turning point. So I'll say that the stationary point is a minimum. Question number 9, the diagram shows the velocity time graph of a particle P. P travels 3260 meters in 100 seconds. Find, reaching a final velocity of V, find the value of V. So I can find the total distance, splitting the figure into different areas. कैसे करूंगा? नीचे एक trapezium बना लेता हूँ. हाँ, so I'll have to use that formula ना. नीचे वाला ट्रेपीजियम ले लेते हैं, एंड ये ऊपर वाला क्या ले लेते हैं? ट्राइंगल. ट्रेपीजियम का व्हाट इज द हाइट ऑफ द ट्रेपीजियम? 30. One parallel side is 100 and the other parallel side is 80. So total distance अगर मैं निकाल रहा हूं, half into height is 30 into sum of parallel sides, which is 100 plus 80. Plus, what about this one? What is the base? What is the height? V minus 30. Height is not V, height is V minus 30. So half into 40 into V minus 30. Total distance is 3260. सिंप्लीफाई दीज वैल्यूज, बताओ क्या आ रहा है कैलकुलेटर में डाल के। वो भी कर सकते थे स्ट्रेट करके ना, वो भी सही था। 4700 प्लस 20v minus 30. Solve for v. What is your value of v? पता नहीं भाई, इन लोगों ने बताया, इन लोगों ने बताया। 27 क्या, 2700। ओके, इसको उधर ले जाओ, सब्ट्रैक्ट करो। 3260 minus 2700 divided by 20 plus 30. So the value of v is, you cannot do that, बिल्कुल गलत हो जाएगा। When the velocity is varying, you can never use that. बिल्कुल। The question says, on the axis below, draw the acceleration time graph for p. Acceleration, how do we get the acceleration from velocity time graph? Differentiation or the gradient of the velocity time graph. For the first 20 seconds, can you tell me the gradient? 30 upon 20, which is 1.5. For the first 20 seconds, the gradient is positive 1.5 constant. So for the first 20 seconds, then for the next 40 seconds till 60, the gradient is 0. I'll say that acceleration will also be, and then what is the gradient of this line? Figure out the gradient of this line. 58 minus 30 upon 40 करके बताओ क्या आ रहा है? 0.7. पता नहीं, तुम लोग निकाल के बताओ भाई। आई एम So this is how your acceleration time graph should look like. कहीं पे भी acceleration negative तो नहीं, हाँ, ऐसे to confuse you, to check whether you are doing it correctly or not. Okay, इसका part B भी देखते हैं। Particle Q is traveling in a straight line. The acceleration of A, the acceleration A meter per second square of Q is given by A 6 cos 2t at time t seconds. When t is 0, Q is at point O. That means the displacement of Q at time 0 is 0. And velocity is 10. Find the velocity. How do I get velocity from acceleration? I will integrate this. 6 cos 2t dt. What is the integral of cos? Sin 2t upon 2 plus c. So v is 3 sin 2t plus c. How do I find the value of c? करो, v की जगह 10, 3 sin 2. So the value of c is 10, v is 3 sin 2t plus 10. And the last part, I guess, of this question, find the displacement of Q from O at time t. How do I get displacement? Integrate what? If I integrate velocity, I will get displacement. So velocity was 3 sin 2t plus 10. So 3 negative cos 2t upon 2 plus 10t plus c minus 3 upon 2 cos 2t plus 10t plus c. So when t is 0, s is also 0. 0 is equals to minus 3 upon 2 cos 2 into 0 plus 10 into 0 plus c. Be very careful with this. Cos 0 is 1 minus 3 upon 2 plus c. So the value of c is 3 upon 2. So s is minus 3 upon 2 cos 2t plus 10t plus 3 upon 2. So this is the equation of displacement. All lengths are in centimeter and all angles are in radius. The diagram shows a rectangle ADEF such that AF is R, CD is R, D is R, everything. ये सब उन्होंने बता दिया आपको. The points C and D lie on AB and CD are ये भी R हैं, AB और CD भी R. Okay. The curve BC is the arc of the circle, center O, radius R. Arc BC has a length 1.5 R. सही है. Show that the perimeter of the shaded region is this. If I wanted to find the perimeter, what lengths do I need? Perimeter में AF, I'll starting from the top left, AF से शुरू कर रहा हूँ. AF plus FE plus DE plus CD plus arc BC plus AB. Is that right? इसमें से what do I know? FE के अलावा we know everything, right? So AF is R, FE I do not know. D is also R, CD is R, arc BC is 1.5 R, and AB is also R. So my perimeter right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 R plus FE. Is that right? Now FE is what I am interested in. Do we have an agreement on this? And the question has given us a hint. What is the hint over here? Sine 0.75 is something that I will have to use. Sine, if I know the arc length and I know the radii, can I find the angle POC? S is equals to R theta. S is equals to R theta. I know the arc length is 1.5 R. R is R. And theta is what I am finding. So theta is 1.5. सही है. Theta is 1.5. So this theta, which is the complete angle, is 1. What angle did I need? Sine 0.75 चाहिए था. If I split, because it's an isosceles triangle, if I split it exactly from the middle, the angle will be 0.75. I know the hypotenuse is also R. And I want to find this opposite, which is X. Okay, I have named this as X. Or I can call it half of BC. Can I do that? Can I call this half of BC? Okay, now let's apply sine over here. Let's see, what do? I'll say sine of 0.75. Opposite is 0.5 of BC divided by hypotenuse, which is R. So BC is 2R sine 0.75. Now what will FE be? BC is 2R this. FE में क्या होगा? गौर से देखो. FE मेरे पास क्या था ना? I'm going with this parameter. Why will I multiply? Now in place of FE, what will I write? 2R plus 2R sine. और से देखो ना, FE को if I split it into this R and BC, सही है. R is 2R plus this. If I simplify this, my perimeter is 7.5 R plus 2R sine 0.75. So I can just take R common, 7.5 plus 2 sine 0.75 radians R. So this is my perimeter of the entire shaded region, where R is a variable. Now I need to find the area. Now in order to find the area of the shaded region, Inna lillahi, but there is no area of arc. Arc never has an area. Wes, what do you call this region? No. What is this small region? Very shameful. I'm ashamed to be here. This is a segment. This is a segment. So area of shaded is area of rectangle minus area of segment. Rectangle is not an issue. Rectangle is length into width. उसको in terms of R निकाल लेंगे. But what about segment? So A1, which is rectangle, that is equals to R multiplied by जो पूरी B की length हमने निकाली थी, which was 2R ये बना था ना. Area 1, which is the area of rectangle, is 2R square plus 2R square sine 0.75. Is that right? This is area of rectangle. इसको मैं अगर R square common भी ले लूं, so 2 plus 2 sine, क्योंकि final answer इस तरह चाहिए ना, KR square, तो I'll be using it over there. सही है, 2B, you are right, we can take 2 common as well. What about segment? Area of segment is area of sector minus, so half R square theta minus half R square sine theta. Half AB sine C. Half R square theta is 1.5 minus half R square sine of 1.5. So now area of shaded, R square 2 plus 2 sine 0.75 माइनस, इसमें से भी मैं R स्क्वायर कॉमन ले लेता हूं, सो 0.75 ये हो गया माइनस 0.5 साइन 1.5. So area of shaded is R square 2 plus 2 sine 0.75 minus 0.75 plus 0.5 sine 1.5. Now you can use your calculator to get this value. So area of shaded is R squared 2 plus, make sure your calculator is in radians for this one, 2 plus 2 sine 0.75 minus 0.75 plus 0.5 sine 1.5. 3.112. I need the answer into 2 decimal place. 3.11. So area of shaded is 3.11 R squared. Is this clear?